Welcome back to Gen XYZ, where you have three very different generations giving career and job search advice. How are you guys today?
Doing great.
Doing amazing.
Wonderful. We're going to talk today about job search mistakes. We have 12 of them to cover that too many candidates make. So, Peter, where do we begin?
Too many candidates don't set goals when they start their job search. And this is particularly important for young candidates, anybody who's just starting out in the job market. When you go into the job search, you should know what you ultimately want to accomplish. So don't just go in blind. Don't just apply for random jobs. You should have a set thing that you are trying to get to, a set company that you're trying to work for. So make sure that you know that ahead of time and that you're working towards it entirely, your whole process.
It's not uncommon to be confused about where you want to end up or what you want to do professionally. But if you go into a job search without knowing what kind of job you're shooting for, it would be like taking a road trip without having a destination. So take some time to invest in yourself. Aptitude tests can be a huge help in narrowing down your career options. We have it on our website, zengig.com. But if you want, strangely enough, Yale's website has about 10 free aptitude tests. So go to Google it, Yale aptitude test, it'll show up for you.
Here's another common job search mistake, not tailoring your application materials, which means if you're submitting the same resume or cover letter for every job you're applying to, you're making a huge misstep. So, how do we fix this? Create a customized version of your resume or cover letter and tailor it to every job that you apply to.
It's very important that you take time to customize anything you send when you're applying for a job. And the reason is it's a super competitive market right now, and it comes down to supply and demand. So if you're a candidate who has a very unique skill set, let's say you're only one of a very few people or a handful of people in the whole country who can do a certain thing, you know, that'll speak for itself. But if you're like most of us, you have to work a little harder to get your resume pulled out of the pile. And that's where the customization and tailoring really comes in. Put the job title that you're applying to at the top of your resume. Put the company's name in your objective statement. Make it explicitly clear who you are, what you can do professionally, and why they should hire you. And you'll see a big difference in how your applications are received. Now, cover letters are talked badly about today. Peter, what do you think about them? Or Ashley, I know that recruiters like them. I know there's a use for them, but what do you guys think? Cover letters, yes or no?
I always say no, but with the caveat being that a cover letter doesn't necessarily have to be like a Word document that you send in with every single job. I view a cover letter as any sort of introduction that you might send over to a manager. If you can get like maybe just an elevator speech, a little paragraph that writes about what your qualifications are, and you can get that over maybe to a LinkedIn manager or something like that, then I'll say yes. But I don't think that you necessarily need to have a formal written out full page with every single resume that you send. When you're on the job search, make sure you do your proper research. This is an easy mistake to avoid. Failing to do proper research is something that's common with particularly younger people who are new in the industry that they might be working in. But make sure that you are going to the company's website, that you're looking at their company mission, you're looking at any kind of things that they're doing in the news. All of these things are really helpful if you do get a job interview, because you can believe that a manager is going to ask, what do you think about our company? What do you think we're doing about X, Y, and Z? And you want to have an answer.
I can't tell you how many candidates I've seen interview over the years who go in uninformed and come out without a job offer. It happens way too frequently. You never know what the interviewer, hiring manager, HR professional who's involved in that hiring decision, you never know what their perspective is going to be on that. So you always have to assume they want candidates who are committed, who have done the research. And why wouldn't they? It shows that you're invested in the opportunity, and every employer wants that in who they hire. So take the time to do it.
Job seekers, don't rely solely on job boards. This is a huge mistake. It's very common to use sites like Google, Indeed, and LinkedIn, but it's too competitive. So, how do we avoid this? Broaden your search by using additional methods to discover job opportunities.
And you don't want to just put your resume out there and then sit back and wait. You should be being proactive. You should be networking on LinkedIn. You should be optimizing your profile. Make yourself easy to be found by recruiters. If you just put all of your eggs in one basket, you're gonna regret it.
No doubt, job boards are a great way to find jobs, but they are just that, a way to find jobs. You mentioned recruiters, proactively contact them. Let all the recruiters in your industry or local market know that you're looking. And you touched on the biggest one of all, use your network. So job boards are great, but they're not the end all be all, that's for sure.
This one is a little bit contentious, but make sure you aren't ignoring minimum job qualifications. They're there for a reason. A job seeker should ask themselves, do I match all of the things that are in this job profile? And if you don't, that's okay. You can still apply to the job, but be realistic. If it asks for 10 years in a certain technology and you've never even touched it, maybe ignore that job. A lot of recruiters will say that they're just made up and that you should apply for all jobs. That's not necessarily the case. So just approach it pragmatically, approach it with a degree of realism, and make sure that you have realistic expectations.
When you're looking for a job, don't overlook soft skills. It's becoming increasingly important as we become more distant in how we work. Your ability to interact with people really will affect not only how well you do your job, but how well you'll do in an interview and whether someone will want to hire you. So if you need to work on certain things like your communication skills or your organizational skills, do it. Highlight them on your resume once you've mastered skills. Don't exaggerate too much, but just know that recruiters and hiring managers really place a high degree of value on an increasing basis in soft skills.
We live in the age of AI and automation. So honestly, soft skills are what's going to separate you because any person can learn this technical skill or that technical skill. They can be taught them, but changing someone's personality and changing how someone interacts with their peers, that's a lot harder.
So go to zengig.com and read up on the most valuable soft skills.
Now, too many candidate resumes I see don't quantify achievements. This is such a differentiator as a recruiter. When you look at one resume that just lists a set of duties, I did this, I did that, versus I achieved this, I achieved that. It makes all the difference in the world. While we're talking about mistakes, what we really should be thinking about is how you can stand out as a candidate, as a job seeker, and quantifying your achievements is at the top of the list.
This is a cheat code that I give to a lot of candidates. I say, when in doubt, add numbers. I don't want to know on your resume that you increased sales year over year for a company. I want to know that you increased sales by 5 million year over year for a company. Add numbers to your resume and it makes it a lot more concrete and it makes it a lot more easier for managers to relate that to their company.
Peter, I want to hire the guy or girl that increased by 5 million. I like that candidate a lot.
Many young professionals fail to network in their job search, and this is a huge mistake. It's something that a lot of people, maybe in today's digital age, don't think is as important as putting a ton of resumes out there, but making sure that you have great relationships is increasingly important in the job market. And it's really something that's going to get you the extra edge when you're talking to job managers.
Everyone has to network, introverts and extroverts alike. So even if you don't like being in a crowd, you can network virtually. It doesn't have to be reaching out proactively to people. Use people you already know. Look at your past, reach out to them, ask for help. That's a huge component, right? You should make your network, and your network is everyone. And then if you think about it to some degree, it's the people who you know, who they know, right? It's an extended network. Look at LinkedIn, degrees of connections on there. You can reach out to people and ask them for help and ask them to reach out to people they know. That's how this works. So don't be too shy about it. It may be a little uncomfortable at first, but it's a critical part of a thorough job search, and you have to get used to doing it.
We've talked about this on other videos, but yeah, this is something that's super important. So I want to make sure that we're emphasizing that. Have relationships. They don't think of networking as, oh, I'm going to go out there and network. Think of it as just having a conversation, make friends, have the dreaded small talk with people. You would be surprised how far it goes if you've just had a conversation and you're acquaintances with someone when it comes to getting a job.
Networking is super important. While we're on this topic, job seekers, if you have an unprofessional social media presence, you're going to want to do it deep clean. So what do? You want to make sure that your profile picture is appropriate. You want to make sure that all those college fun pictures are either archived or deleted. Any old accounts, also make sure to delete those if they're also inappropriate.
When you're on the job market, recruiters will look at your social media accounts. Make no mistake about it. You can always make them private. You don't have to delete everything. Maybe some things you should, but you can hide them during your search. It'll make a big difference.
A lot of candidates that I've talked to, they have unrealistic expectations, not only when it comes to the salary. Maybe you're just coming out of school they want super high salary, but also the time it takes for a manager to get back to them, the time between interviews, maybe the PTO that they would get on the job. So just take a step back and take an honest look at what you bring to the table and what these companies offer, and have realistic expectations so that you're not going in blind and that you're not surprised.
A way to help with that is to do your research. We talked about that a little bit prior to going into interviewing, but also interview the industry you want to work in, the position type you want to work in, search job titles. You can look at salary data on our website, zengig.com. Go to our salary section, it's there. You can look at Glassdoor to get reviews of the company and see how other employees feel about it. You can go to Glassdoor and get reviews and get insight from former employees. So there's lots of things that you can do to help set your expectations so they're not unrealistic.
While you're researching the company, try to find a hiring manager's email or a recruiter. So that way you can send a thank you letter after the interview. And this is a huge mistake many job seekers make because they fail to do this. And by doing this, it'll keep you on top of that interviewer's mind.
Yeah, so there's some job seekers that think certain things like cover letters or sending a thank you letter is formal and outdated. And maybe to some degree, these things are, but that's a reason to do it. If no one else is, the candidate who takes those extra steps is really going to stand out. Another way to get contact information is to be sure you don't end an interview without asking for it. Write it down. You're not going to remember, so ask for an email address, ask for a phone number, and then you can follow up right away.
A lot of job seekers also have the mistake of failing to negotiate. So take this opportunity to discuss what salary range you're going to be getting and what time you're going to be going in and out of.
It may seem awkward, but you never want to fail to negotiate when it comes to a job offer. It's just a matter of fact in the job market, in the world that we live in, that you're going to go back and forth, that you should demand to get the salary that you feel that you deserve within realistic expectations, the PTO that you want, whatever, what have you. But a lot of job seekers, it seems nowadays, are afraid to ask. They're afraid to push back. This is something that's really common with people new on the job market. They just accept the first thing that is offered to them. Make sure that you take a second, breathe, examine the job offer, and then maybe give a counteroffer, maybe a little bit higher. It doesn't hurt to ask. Know your worth.
And on that, I think that's a great note to end. Guys, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us again today. And we'll see you next time.
So